fastest growing podcast in the history of the known universe. Today we are live at PJ's on West Gray, as we usually are on Mondays. We got some special guests for you. Brandon, BC and Houston's going to join us. We'll talk a little gambling. We'll talk about the football yesterday, and kind of get into the new Astros manager. We got that going on too. Also, I'll hit on the Rockets a little bit. They're on a bit of a winning streak, and I'll mention very briefly UH football. Boy, that sucked. That's about all I have to say. This season's been a joke. So we'll also talk about Jimbo Fisher getting whacked. Tracy Cowley, TC Gold Rush is going to join us, and she talked to some SEC insiders today, so she'll have some information on that. I have a hockey play for you tonight. Seattle Kraken at home plus 128, getting a plus number against the Avalanche tonight. Avalanche, after that 6-0 start, have gone 2-5, and the Kraken are pretty good at home, and they own the Avalanche. So give me a plus number on that all day. Welcome in, Chuck. Welcome in, Flea. We're going to have a blast today. And when Brandon gets here, we'll start off with your new Astros manager. I mean, I think there's not a lot to dig into there. I think it was definitely the right call. I also want to just mention how condolences for all those families involved in that car accident Friday night, including DJ Hayden was a great Cougar who almost died on the field a few years back, and just very sad story, sad news to wake up to yesterday, and it's just senseless, man. I just one of those things. Just be careful out there driving, because it can get crazy. And one of our guests, who's going to pop on a little bit, actually saw the aftermath of it the other night after we were hanging out on Friday. So if you want to get in, there's all kinds of ways to do it. If you want to comment, do it on the Twitch. Always welcome to weigh in on stuff. And before Brandon gets here, I'll get on the Texans a little bit. I think last week was one of the most exciting finishes we've seen in years from this team. I think this week was maybe their best win since the playoffs years. I know that they really outplayed the Bengals. Now, I was anti-Bengal in this game because it was your classic sandwich game, right? They came off the Sunday night game against the Bills, high profile. Thursday night, they play the Ravens. I think there was a little bit of look ahead there. I think there was a little bit of look ahead with the Ravens too. But the Texans, the one thing that really impressed me about C.J. Stroud is he wasn't perfect yesterday. And that interception he threw in the fourth quarter was, well, how shall I put this delicately? Not good. You can't make that throw. And then they come out and do a 3-and-out. But then he gets the ball again and gets him right down the field and makes the plays he needs to make. He bounced back from it. That's what great players do. So, I'm very, very happy that they got that done. And pretty impressive performance. And who knew Noah Brown was the next Randy Moss? And our guy Tank Dell had a big game again. I was a little worried they broke him when he got hit because he didn't have a catch for a long time after that. And he was in the game, but credit to him too on that interception. Making the diving stop. It wound up not mattering because they scored, but that was just a great hustle play on a play that was just completely a disaster. All right, we'll have Brandon in here in just a second, but I got to tell you about the Phoenix on Westheimer. Champions League early rounds. You want to go someplace to watch the Dynamo? They got you covered on that. Best soccer bar in the city. Premier League is awesome on the weekends. Great food, great staff. If you're a Penn State fan, they got you covered there. And it's just a wonderful place. And Brandon and I go there a lot. And Vu does a terrific job at the Phoenix. So it's part of my rotation. And we may be working a new one in on Thursday, so you'll have to tune in. But PJ's every Monday, and usually we're alternating the Phoenix and coaches on Thursday. But we may be doing something different this Thursday. It just depends on how I feel. So, all right, we're going to bring in BC in Houston. And what's going on, man?
What's going on, Falcon? Happy Monday to you, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So I was just hitting on the Texans a little bit. Curious on your thoughts on that game. And let's not lose sight of the fact they actually had a running back run for 150 yards. And, that helped a lot too.
Yeah, my first thought is you owe the institution of Ohio State football an apology for all the bagging you do on them for not putting out good NFL quarterbacks, because CJ Stroud looked like the real thing, man. He did outstanding job. Hell of a performance by the entire offense. That the 55-yard, 6-play drive to set up the game winner. Just outstanding. They get a little bit lucky. I think it was Tyler Boyd dropped the end zone ball. Otherwise, they gave him the opportunity basically to make the impressive 1 minute and 30-second drive down to the end. But still a hell of a win, man. And don't look now, but they're only one game back from the Jags, I think.
Yeah.
And the Jags, they just got spanked by the 49ers. We'll get into that one later. But both those teams are going to have a lot of separation from Tennessee and Indianapolis if you look at their schedules coming up, also because they suck. Real good stuff for Texans Nation. I love it. Chuck D, what's going on, my man? Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate all you guys. Virginia Buttonweed, welcome in. Day One Donna, King of all Twitches. Appreciate all you guys jumping in on the show. But yeah, I think this is a team that's going to. I don't think they're going to get worse. I don't know that they're good enough to actually make a playoff run, but they're too well coached to. And that's the other thing, they're learning. The game they lost against Carolina, they made a bunch of stupid mistakes at the end of the game, and it cost them. That's what losing teams do. What they did yesterday is what winning teams do. And not everybody wins every game 55-7. Not even the Chiefs. So the good teams learn to make those plays when it counts in the fourth quarter. Lamont's in the house, present and accounted for. Barry's in the house. How about that? Barry Laminack.
Barry on deck. Hell yeah.
Barry, I got to get you on now that I'm doing 5 o'clock on Mondays. We got to do it. We got to do a Faour Laminack reunion, or it'd be a Laminack Faour reunion, I guess. It just depends on how you look at it. All right, so getting into some of the other stuff before we get to the rest of the football. Your Astros have a new manager, and meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah. He's going to come in here. He's going to make positive changes, right? Where have we heard that before, Falcon?
Everywhere. But no, I think it was the right thing to do. I don't know enough about how he is in the clubhouse, but he's been there, and I think that he deserved an opportunity. It's a lot better than bringing in some other retread or some washout, and I don't think they'll miss too much of a beat here. So I'm not sure what the positive changes will be. Probably not going to wear the gloves, but the lizard gloves, yeah.
I love the move, Falcon. I think this is who the Astros fan base wanted, and you can attest to that. You're the president of Astros Twitter, so you can definitely confirm that for us all. This dynasty that we're on right now, he's been there for every single year of it. He actually came in 1 year after the unpleasantness of 2017, so he was there with Hinch, he was there with Dusty. I don't see a whole lot changing, that we still should not be competitive moving forward until we run this string out. He's got plenty of experience. I think 9 years in the minors and some independents. He was with the Yankees and maybe the Red Sox organization. Maybe correct me on that one. But what I think, and some people are kind of not seeing this, I think is kind of undervalued, is that he is going to be our second Latino manager. And I think that goes a long way, especially when you're talking about bringing back the guys Brady, Altuve, Jordan, Frommer, Christian Javier. That's a big deal for these kind of guys. And then, of course, you got Tucker, Bregman, Verlander. He's bringing back just a massive core of all-stars and, future Hall of Famers. So, yes, we don't expect anything to get worse by any means. In fact, I think we'll get better. Clubhouse says they love him. He's a great, well-rounded guy. Like I said, he came in a year after the unpleasantness, so you really can't hang down on him. So I'm expecting good stuff. Got a trivia question for you, though. He's the second Astros Latino manager that we've had in 20 years. Or sorry, it should be 20th skipper we've had. Who was the first one?
I don't remember.
Preston Gomez, 1975.
Yeah, it was a little bit before my time. I was watching the Astros then, and I remember Preston Gomez, but
that was before your time at the Chronicle. I just was curious if you remember that or not.
Yeah, the Preston threw me off though. Anyway, all right, let's get to some of the other NFL games yesterday, and then definitely going to dive into some of the college stuff here in a bit. But 5 games won at the wire with a field goal yesterday, including the Texans. But there were some real crap games yesterday. starting with that debacle in Germany. That was harder to watch than animal porn, man. But you get the Browns beat the Ravens. Ravens almost the exact same finish as the Texans with the pick six that got them back in the game. But the Browns got back to what they do best, which is run the football, and that's how they were able to come back. And I've been ready to crown the Ravens, but I do think there was some look ahead to the Bengals on Thursday, and I ain't caught up with them.
So you're not gonna take your crown and crown their asses? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm still gonna crown them probably, but whenever you lose to the air humper, it's not a good loss if you're the Ravens.
No, not at all. Going back real quick to that Colts and Pats game, holy shit! Did you see the lashing that Mac Jones got from Bill O'Brien on the sideline?
Oh yeah, it was classic Bill O'Brien.
Oh wow! I mean, that must have felt so good for Bill O'Brien because I think we all truly know that's who he is inside. Just that guy who wants to bully college kids and inferior performers. So I did not say he didn't deserve it. It's a crucial pick in the fourth quarter. Probably cost him the game. I feel comfortable saying that because, like you said, there wasn't scoring going on anyway. Bailey Zappi goes in there, throws a pick in a triple coverage after a just terrible fake spike that Alexander Graham Bell couldn't have telegraphed any better. That was definitely the game sealer. So, yeah, you're right. People in Germany are probably not very happy with us on that particular game.
Yeah, 49ers Jaguars looked like it was going to be a good one, but that's the 49ers team we saw start the season. And how much of a difference does Deebo Samuel make here? I mean, this guy changes their whole offense.
Bro, I was dead wrong about that one. Niners have lost 3 in a row. They're missing Debo and a few other weapons. They have a week to get healthy, then they fly across country. I'm looking at the Jags. My money was on the Jags, winner of 5 straight, and they just got spanked. I mean, it was just utter domination. And really, if you watch the game, it was in the trenches. Lawrence and the offense literally never, ever got rolling. I think, in fact, Lawrence, was like 3 of the 4 turnovers, something like that. It's a really pathetic showing by Jacksonville. Gives the Texans, a good, look at possibly being a team that can overtake Jacksonville if that's how they're going to play against superior competition. And you're 100% right. 49ers are right there with the Eagles and Lions, front runners to the Super Bowl in the NFC, no doubt.
Yeah, speaking of the Lions, another one that was won at the wire and really, really gutsy call to go for it on 4th and 2. I wish coaches would realize this more. You don't want to put the ball back in Justin Herbert's hands. And you hadn't stopped him the whole game. This way you were able to run out the clock, and a good win for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, was that the easiest bet on the board or what? Lions Chargers over.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how you shorter than a trip to the ATM. Both quarterbacks throw for over 320 yards, 6 touchdowns. There were like 8 fourth down attempts. I think all but one got converted as well. So, I mean, yeah, lots of fireworks. Excuse me, the Lions prevail. They should have. I mean, they had the better defense, but it got close because none of the defense or none of the offense could stay on the field. They were literally just trading points. So it was a really fun game to watch. I cashed the Lions money line, and, I really enjoyed that game. A lot of fun.
Another buzzer beater. Don't look now, but Tiny Kyler is back. And the Cardinals come back and beat the Falcons. And, he looked pretty good running the football and didn't look terrible on it.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, people forget he's the number 1 pick. He's got the highest ceiling. You're talking about guys like Dobbs and McSorley and Blue, something like that. Little boy Blue, McCoy, Clayton Tune, our guy. I mean, they're not Kyler Murray. He looked good running around on that ACL. I think he was like 35 yards, ran one in, threw for like 250 yards. I mean, the market right now is so down on the Cardinals. I think we got a real good opportunity to have them as a bet on team for us moving forward. I think he just makes that team so much better. You saw it out there. Falcons are trash, yeah, but I think the Cardinals are a team to look at for betting purposes moving forward.
Yeah, I think I might even like them this week for a bunch of reasons, but still haven't finished off all my research on that yet. Cowboys did what they have done to the Giants recently and just mashed them. Dak with another big game.
And
how about Brandon Cooks? Big game for him.
Sure. I mean, he's been completely he's been on a milk carton since he got with the organization earlier this year. It's nice to see him come out, but I mean, who didn't get fed in that game?
Right.
I mean, Dak threw over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, it was just a complete blowout. The second easiest bet on the board. You and AJ talked about that last Thursday. Like big 16, big 17. I think it closed at like 17 and a half.
Yeah.
By 32. I was at a massive bet on first half -10 and the team total, and then I hit a nice 185 SGP. So, I mean, yeah, that was trick or treat right there for betting purposes and just blowout. Here's a good one for you. 2 meetings so far: Giants and Cowboys. Cowboys have beat them by a combined 72 points. Tragic.
So that's over 17 and a half, right? I'm not good at math, but that was my best bet of the day. I loved the Cowboys yesterday, and that was never a sweat. I mean, they're there at halftime, and it's like, okay, this is all good. A couple more just to touch on, and then we'll get to the Monday night game. The Seahawks Commanders. I was disappointed in this outcome because I really thought Seattle was going to crush these guys, but it's possible Sam Hell is not a total turd. It's possible this guy's a pretty solid quarterback.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you've been betting Sam Howell props. You've been getting paid. I mean, for whatever reason, his passing line seems to be in the low 200s, and the guy's passing 220, 230 every single game. He makes plays. I mean, rushing prop is also, I think, the largest rushing prop I've seen for him is 18 and a half. I mean, he's averaging like 26 yards on his feet. I mean, he is a good quarterback, and he's doing a lot with no weapons and a mediocre offensive line. So, absolutely, Sam Howell is the only bright spot right now on that entire Commies offensive line. Or offensive side.
Couple things from Twitch. King of all Twitches, Chase Young and Bosa. Oh my God, yeah, Young was a good pickup for them. And I don't know if it was mental or if he just needed better coaching, but he sure looked like the guy that was drafted that high.
100%. That guy's a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. He's up there with the Watt boys as the biggest disruptors, and perennial Pro Bowler, no doubt.
No, I was talking about Chase Young, not Bosa, but yeah.
Oh, Bosa. I'm sorry. I think I'm talking about Bosa.
Yeah. All right, guys. Game tonight. You got anything for the people?
For the game tonight, I have got what is 1/3 of $9.5 million, Fred? Because that's what I have on tonight's game. I believe you have.
Well, we still have to get through another 500 or so people, but hey, that was a big day yesterday to get rid of a bunch of folks. Yeah, we're talking about our survivor pool. We have the Bills in the survivor pool, and I actually like the Bills to cover. This is where they beat up on a team that, the Broncos are getting better, but the Bills tend to handle their business at home against teams like this. So I feel pretty good about us getting through here.
Yeah, I've got a tease on that, and then I like the under. So if you want, you can do a same game teaser on that. Josh Allen completions. I think it's at 23, 24 and a half. He's averaging like 26, 28 at home. It's going to be a positive game strip, but for whatever reason, even when there aren't positive game strips, they still don't throw the ball. Like their running game is completely non-existent, whether they're winning or losing. So,
right.
So Allen rush, Allen attempt, Allen completions. I think you're all pretty good on that. But yeah, I think we should be fine moving on to the next round.
Yeah, I believe so, but I also like them to cover tonight. And if you miss the top of the show, I do have a hockey play for you. Kraken plus 128 at home against the Avalanche tonight. So
nice.
And Lamont mentioned, you see the insane parlay for 500K. Yeah, and he made 5.5. But what I would say, if he made that much, how many times has he bet 500K and lost it on parlays? You don't hear about those, but I mean, and the books love promoting this stuff. It's like, oh, look how much money you can win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Next time they're not going to let him bet 500K. They'll let him bet 250 maybe.
Yeah. How often? Good.
I mean,
I was going to say, how often do you see these guys who hit these 6-figure parlays? You see them more than once. You don't. It happens once. Miss the money away for these 5 years trying to get to that mark again, get that payout again. Doesn't happen.
But I'm guessing it's somebody who can afford it. Hey, got any basketball plays? I know you've been hitting some of those.
Yeah, man, basketball's going great. Love that college basketball is back in. Tonight we got the Cougs playing at the house that Fertitta built. I'm going to take the under tonight. I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. The Cougs play defense. It's what they do. I'm not going to go over the numbers. You're going to be hearing plenty of that this season because they are just as good, if not better, than that number 2 overall defensive team that made that big run last year. I'm playing the Stetson Hatters. They like to jack up a lot of shots, but they're coming off with 33% make performance versus UNLV. No one's going to confuse the Rebels with the Cougars defense. Kelvin also does not run up the score early in the season. He messes around with iterations and lineups and everything. So 33 is still a lot of points. That might be a stretch to cover that, but the play is 140, play to 136.5. Excuse me. And then last one we're going to take a shot on the mighty Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. They play the K-State Wildcats. They have shooters all over the floor. They're awesome in transition. They get after the ball. They create turnovers. That's exactly what the Wildcats don't do well. They don't defend the perimeter well. They don't protect the ball in transition, and they're very vulnerable underneath with their new big man, Naquan Tomlin. That's typically how you defeat most Big Sky and Summit League teams. Just get a superior athlete underneath, make them rain from the outside, and hope they miss. K-State is not going to do that. We're getting 10.5 points. Let's roll with the Rabbits tonight.
All right. H. Dinger, to answer your question, yes. Flea wants to know, is there a subway curse for the NFL quarterbacks? Russell comes out with Danger Witch last year, and he's been in the toilet ever since. Justin Herbert goes full-on Subway spokesperson this year. He can't pull out a W to save his life. Keep CJ7 away from becoming a Subway ad spokesperson. Yeah, because Brady was kind of done when he did it.
Yeah, he was established.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the end of his career, too.
Yeah, no, he was way established.
Yeah. So,
maybe have Jersey Mike's reach out to CJ. It's I reset the curse. I love Jersey Mike's. So good.
Yeah, the curse of Jared. Yeah, that's it. That's it. King of all Twitches. Curse of Jared.
We're done with that.
I assume that guy's still in prison trying to get kiddie porn in.
He's probably getting Boudreaux right now as we speak.
I don't know. I think that was just such a weird story. All right, let me tell you real quick about Piper Plumbing, new sponsor to the show, and very happy to have them. And these guys are really, really good. And I know that you're always looking for plumbers, and a lot of times, it's just not reputable companies. It's not good people. Well, Piper's is great, and they're great people. 832-632-2583. And anything you need, they can take care of. They're based in Nassau Bay, but they do Galveston. They do all around. So just check with them before you check with anybody else, because you're going to be happy. They're going to do a great job for you, whether it's plumbing, water heaters, main water line repair, all those things. They do everything safely. They can unclog your drains. They can do faucets, garbage disposals, you name it. And Joseph and the crew are just really, really good, hardworking people. 832-632-2583 is your number. Piper's Plumbing. So I know I didn't want to get into too much college, but how surprised were you to hear that Jimbo got whacked?
A little surprised. Y'all know when he had that just poor season, the previous season, they lost, I want to say, like 9 starters from both sides of the ball went to the transfer portal after that. So I thought that A&M program was going to be in desolation for years, and they have not been playing bad ball this season. Not enough to where I think Jimbo should get whacked. Definitely not enough to where they're going to eat $75 million for him not to come to work. Now, granted, I know A&M's got some big coffers, but still, that just sounds crazy to me. Tell me that's not super common in the world of college football, Falcon.
Well, it was the initial contract that really was the problem, right? I mean, you can't put yourself in this situation. But let's be honest, man. It's Texas A&M. All I need is one of their guys to sell one of their 25 Gulfstreams, and he's paid off. That's it. Everybody makes a big deal out of money because for some reason we always make a big deal out of money on things like this, but they can afford it. And I think the interesting question is can UH afford to do the same thing with Dana Holgerson? Because they still owe him a lot of money. And at this point, the rumor came out that there was mutual interest between Dana and A&M. I'm like, oh, please God, make that happen, please. But I can't see it. You can't beat Cincinnati.
No.
Well, what are you gonna do against Alabama? Come on, man.
Roll over and die.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So potential buyout would obviously be the best situation for for the Cougars to say bye-bye to Dana Holgorsen. I mean, maybe they absorb it with some NIL money. I know Mac's been throwing some money around the football program for a while. That might be.
Actually, no, he did that for the basketball program. He wasn't involved with the football program. I tried to get him involved, but he never did it.
Okay, because we had rumors last year, so they never materialized in anything.
No.
All right, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I don't want to get any details. But
no, I don't want that. It sounds to me like they're going to have to eat Dana or they're going to have to tolerate Dana, I should say, for at least one more year. I think it's a more friendly break in 2025. I think so. We might be buckle up, dudes. We might be in for one more year of this garbage.
Yeah, and King of All Twitches says Cougs better recruit. The one thing, and I've said this before. I love Dana, but it just seems like he doesn't give a shit anymore. When they were asking about recruiting for next year, he's like, that ship has sailed. You got to transfer. What the fuck? and I'll just say this: Donovan Smith's not a good quarterback. And I know we've gotten spoiled at UH, but the reality is he's just he's the worst one that they've had there in a while. And I think part of it's a scheme. I think a lot of it's play calling. I think a lot of it's Donovan. And nice kid, but it's just this is not the UH offense that I grew up with, right? I'd rather, if you're going to be a 4-win team, at least score 50 points. At least be LSU on offense. Just be crazy on offense, and then give a bunch of. I did that because Tracy's popped in, so I had to get my LSU thing in there. But
you possibly can on defense and just kick ass on offense. There you go. Boat race them every game.
Yeah, and I just don't know. I don't know what's out there that they can go get. I think it'll be an attractive job for somebody because it is a pretty easy place to recruit to, and especially with the Big 12 now. But I'm worried that this could be a 2 or even 3-year problem, especially if Dana's back for another year. The offensive line is still just not good. We're not prepared for the Big 12 in the offensive line. And Fleas, what are the odds UH goes after Pretty Boy Cliff? I actually thought about that this afternoon. But Cliff, the one that bothers me about Cliff in college football, he couldn't win at Tech, and he had Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. I don't know how excited I'd be about that. I'm sure the women on campus would be very excited. And my neighbors.
I'm sure they would. Real quick, I just want to address one question over in the from Johnny the Immortal. What are the odds we get an all-Texas Super Bowl for the next 5 years? Good if Jerry Jones dies in the next 4.
Oh, stop with your Jerry Jones hatred. Come on.
Tell me I'm wrong.
He's basically he's just a spokesman now, man.
He looks like pulling strings.
No, I don't think he's pulling strings. I mean, he obviously has some influence because. But
explain the coaches. Explain the last 10 years of coaches.
Well, I don't know. He fell in love with Jason Garrett. I don't know what that was about.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been those two may have had a little thing going on or something. But it's interesting. A lot of people get the coaches wrong. I mean, hell, he went out and got Bill Parcells at one point, and they couldn't do anything. So. I think he gets too much blame, but that's just me. So anyway, yeah. All right. So anything else you want to get in before I jump in with Tracy here and get into some more Jimbo Fisher and SEC and all kinds of cool stuff?
I'm good, brother. You hit me up tomorrow. Hit me up Wednesday. Let me know where we're going to meet at, and we'll figure out how to advance in the next round of this Survivor contest, since we're down to the 600.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously we got to get through tonight, but I'm not too concerned about that unless Allen goes down on the first play or something. But
why do you have to put that out in the universe like that?
Don't you wish that evil on me, Ricky Bobby?
I knew you were gonna say it.
All right, I'll talk to you. I may talk to you tonight, but I'll talk to you one of the next couple of days.
All right, cracking money line plus 130. Punch it in right now.
128.
I got 130.
Oh well, you got 130. Nice.
I got
Good
130.
for you. Good for you. Because that's worth a lot. Hey, I got to tell you about Lanham Industries. Sun Living Cleaning is Lake Livingston area leader in providing quality service for your home on Lake Livingston, and basically they'll help you find the right home and location, decor and theme, price points. It's your one-stop shop for all vacation home service needs. So, my hope is this movie deal's done in a couple of months, and I'm getting a place out there. And they take care of cleaning, lawn care, laundry, maintenance, inventory management, property management services are available. All the things that I'm too dumb to do, and they take care of it for you. Veteran-owned and operated, great people. Andrew's a big supporter of the show, and love to have them on. Highly trained and dedicated crew. You can give them a call, 936-581-6166, or go online to lanhamindustries.com. And if you can't remember any of that, just hit me up and I'll get it to you. So, all right, let's get one of our favorite people here. She's TC Gold Rush on Twitter. It's
Hey,
SEC.
Fred, how are you today?
I am fan-freaking-tastic. How about you?
Me too. It's been very busy, very busy. Catching up on everything going on. It's the shit hit the fan, so to speak, this weekend. You're right. Jimbo was the first to get axed, so there you go.
Yeah, we had those odds a couple weeks ago, and he was the favorite. And apparently, somebody knew something. So, what are you hearing from there? And what are there already names being floated? Because it seems to me they must have somebody in mind if they're doing this now.
They do. So, listened and chatted to Billy Lucci. If you don't know who Billy Lucci is, he's Texas Ags. If you're an Aggie fan, follow him. He knows everything. He was in the Johnny Manziel Netflix special, so he knows everything about Aggie football. This actually came down after the Ole Miss loss, and they just decided to do it after Mississippi State. They haven't been able to beat Ole Miss, and it's kind of like death by 1,000 cuts. That's how Billy described it. And once they lost to Ole Miss again, they just said, enough's enough. We got to move off of this because of the direction. It's not changing. Nothing's changing right now. They're still not beating the teams they need to beat. They may get a win over LSU or Alabama here and there, but they're not beating the mid-level teams in the SEC, and I think that's what caught up to Jimbo.
Yeah, not only do you have to beat the mid-level teams, you have to beat more than one of those LSU,
Absolutely.
Alabamas, at least, every 3 or 4 years, right? And this team is regressing, and the offense didn't get any better. I still think that losing Mike Elko was a huge blow for them, and I wonder if that's not a phone call they make. Hey, Mike,
he is on. From what Billy said, he's on the list, and a name you floated out for U of H, actually, Cliff Kingsbury. Believe it or not, he would be kind of a splash hire. He has experience in both college and professional ranks, and he is an offensive mind. So I wouldn't rule him out. He also talked about they're likely not going to get the Dan Lannings, the big fish, only because they're already having to pay just Jimbo $76 million. You're going to have to buy out staff, and then you got to pay a potential buyout for that new coach. And I think Lannings is $20 million. They're just not going to go after that. He said it's just too much up front, that they'll probably get someone who's in a second tier level and not have to pay them $9 or $10 million, which is what got them in this mess with Jimbo. So they're looking at Elko, Cliff Kingsbury, people with experience. Jeff Trainer from UTSA is a name I've been hearing a lot.
Yeah, that's a guy I like potentially for University of Houston. I think that this year they haven't been quite as dominant, which worries me a little bit because now but it's also stepping up to the American from Conference USA. And I think he's a damn good football coach. A lot of success in high school.
And he knows Texas. I think that's going to have to be a big thing for Aggie. Is Texas is coming to the SEC. You have LSU dipping into this part of the state, getting Houston recruits. So I think they're going to have to lean on someone who does know Texas a little bit, and they may look to that to help them.
Yeah, I think he would be an interesting choice. I mean, I'd like to see him win the American, I think that'd be a good step in his first year there. But Mississippi State also making a change.
Mhm.
That team just never. I think it's unfortunate that
It
Mike
is
Leach,
so sad.
when
Hmm.
Mike Leach passed when he did, they really couldn't. There was nothing they could do.
Mm-mm.
There were no good coaches out there, and Mike Leach was so perfect for a school like Mississippi State because it's why he was so successful at Tech and at Washington State. It's like he plays a different game, and it's a game where he can jump up and bite you in the ass every now and then, and have winning teams.
Yeah.
And so they lost that, and I just watching them this year, they didn't look like an SEC team at all.
Well, no, and Arnett changed the offense, and that was a big deal. Their offense and all their players were geared to Mike Leach's system. When you change that, it's a culture shock, and you saw that with Will Rogers, and then all their quarterbacks were nothing was ever smooth. They got waxed by the good teams. So I just think he was in a lose-lose situation. And he did the best he could, considering he didn't have head coaching experience, and to move into that and have to deal with what that program had to deal with. It's a really tough spot for him. I do think they'll come out and play fired up football this week, but they're going to lean towards the lesser coaches. They can't afford the 7, 8, 9 million a year. So maybe Willie Fritz from Tulane. I think he's going to get some calls. So
that's another. Yeah, that's another name that is probably getting a bigger job this year somewhere, and that might be a real good fit for him there. He's a good football coach. And
what he's done at Tulane is, and he went from a 2-win team to now they're ranked, and they beat USC last year in their bowl game. So what he's done with that program is remarkable. He's going to get some calls for sure.
Yeah, and Tulane's not an easy place to win either, just like Mississippi State isn't. So it's always good to get a coach with that kind of experience.
It's like, it's a leapfrog job.
Yeah. So Georgia
looked like Georgia. I had a feeling Ole Miss, just because they have issues with their lines. Georgia let them play with, was playing with their food for the first, quarter and a half. And then Georgia said, okay, enough. We're just going to put this to bed, and really suffocated Ole Miss. It wasn't even close by halftime. It was over. So I think that's where Lane Kiffin, if people are looking at him to hire, I think you're always going to look at him never getting over that hump. He did beat LSU this year, but honestly, that was a coin flip game. Whoever, that literally could have gone either way. That was unbelievable arcade football. But with Georgia and Alabama, those games are not close. And I think to play with the big dogs and get that kind of attention, you have to knock off one of those guys. And he didn't. And I think he's either going to stay there or he's going to have to transition somewhere else. But I don't think A&M is going to look for him. I don't think that's a right fit for A&M.
Yeah, I tend to agree because it's funny because there are teams in the NFL that I just don't consider Super Bowl contenders that are really good teams, and they'll beat up on the Mississippi States of the world, right? I think the Dolphins are in that. I think the Cowboys are kind of in that.
They are.
I think the Bills have sort of fallen into that group too, and so he has Mississippi doing really well, but just not
2 10-win seasons in a row.
Yeah, so they'll get
that's
New
it.
Year's Six. They'll get a New Year's Six. It's cute. They'll go pat you on your little rebel head.
Exactly. Come to the SIP. That's great. Good for you. You get to go to the SIP and you get your dog juice out there. Good for you. That's about the job that he deserves. And no offense, when he was talking about coming to LSU, it kind of scared me a little bit, because what would you do with the program like LSU? It is on that upper tier in the SEC. It's won 3 national championships within the last 20 years. You have to have respect with that. And, I just don't know if he would have been the right coach for LSU. And leading into that, I've watched a lot of Brian Kelly today, and I have to tell you, he's gained my admiration by the way he's fighting for his players, both with the Heisman and Biletnikoff awards, and then also with the targeting calls that were egregious the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last week, but Daniels is he's having an amazing year. It's unfortunate that the defense isn't good enough to where they're not going to have more success as a team, because that's an unfortunate part of the Heisman. There's very few guys. You have to have truly special years like RG3 had to be able to win without being in the top 5.
Yeah, I still think that he has a chance to put up, and they're going to give him a chance to put up astronomical numbers the next 2 weeks. And it's a shame that Aggie games at 11 o'clock in Baton Rouge. That's like blasphemy. It's like literally you have to start drinking the day before to be liquidated for that game. But I do think he has a chance, and the reason it's 11 o'clock is because the A&M is just not good enough. If it would have been a better season for them, I think it would have been a better time slot for LSU, but it is what it is. Daniels won't have a conference championship, but you never know. Washington's kind of skirted that line a little bit. You never know which Pac-12 team is going to come up and bite one of these other teams. And, injuries happen, stuff happens. So they still have to play their games too.
Yeah, and who knows with Michigan now, because I know their quarterback's getting a lot of run, but now
he's done. He's at 950. He had 60-yard passing in that game. There's no way he's touching that trophy. I don't even think he gets invited unless he has astronomical numbers against Ohio State, but he's not winning it.
I think if he has a big game against Ohio State, and Penix has been kind of not great here down the stretch either.
He's been slacking. I think the leader in the clubhouse, according to all the betting odds, is Bo Nix. And it's sad because, he's on the better team, but his stats don't even touch Daniels. It's not even close. I mean, Daniels had over 600 yards of offense by himself against Florida and set an FBS record. I mean, no one else in history did what he did with over 350 yards passing and 200 yards rushing in a game. It was a video game. It was like you're playing a video game on Saturday.
Yeah, and unfortunately, though, those kind of numbers by themselves don't do it anymore, and they never really have for the Heisman. I mean, it's been once or twice, and one of those guys is going to. I mean, Bo Nix did everything he could in the game to beat Washington, and he's not your Auburn Bo Nix. I mean, I still have people who will tweet at me. It's like, the guy was terrible at Auburn. And say, you obviously haven't watched a single Oregon game.
Yeah,
because he is a different cat, and he's played for 6 years, and
he's literally he's married. I think he has a child too. Yeah. So I mean, he's literally the old man on campus.
All right, before I let you go, real quick, you feel better about your 49ers after yesterday?
Absolutely. I knew they'd come out strong this weekend, and they got healthy. They have to stay healthy, and they have to get ahead. And I think Chase Young is going to be dynamic for their defense. Putting Wilkes on the sideline made an absolute difference for this team. They came out hungry, and they suffocated Jacksonville, and they made a little Jacksonville Prince guy look like crap. He looked awful. I think he had 2 interceptions, a fumble, and less than 200 yards passing. So I was never a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. I know he's got the size and everything people look for, but I was just never – I saw him at the national championship game with LSU, and I just thought his decision-making at times was a little off, and that showed on Sunday for sure against a great defense.
Don't hate the guy. He's got a beautiful beak. He's got the hair.
He's got golden locks, okay? He's the guy from Shrek, okay? He's Prince Charming, okay?
I have to admire him because of the beak. There's not many people can pull off the beak, because I certainly can't.
That is true. That is true. But but I do have to say, watching Stroud play the Bengals was incredible. The Texans hit a home run with that dude, and you watch him and Bryce Young, and it's like Carolina's going, dang it. Why couldn't we get that guy? He is going to be a superstar, and he's in an MVP conversation. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, he's definitely a lock for Rookie of the Year, and
Absolutely.
I heard a lot of talk about, does he belong in that conversation? I'm like, well, when Patrick Mahomes dies, yeah, but otherwise,
Patrick's not having his best year, so
he's not. But
Stroud is
still
up there with the statistics if you look at them, and he's actually producing more in bigger moments than Mahomes is right now, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, and Mahomes didn't have a good second half in his last game. That was people forget that one of those scores came from
their offense is struggling. Their offense is struggling.
But let's see how it plays out. I mean, if this team wins 10 or 11 games and it's because of C.J. Stroud, you damn well better be in the conversation.
Yeah. But no, lots going on. We'll see what happens in the SEC. This is kind of a slow week, but then you got rivalry week and then championship week.
Well, we'll catch up next week anyway, because there's always
We
stuff
will.
to talk about. All right.
Thanks, Fred.
SC Tracy does a great job. Thank you so much, as always. Great insight. Really appreciate you.
Thanks, Fred.
All right.
Chat soon.
Okay, I have to tell you about Dr. Linville. And you've heard me talk about him a lot. And I know everybody's like, oh, well, why are you wearing a hat? Because I always like wearing hats. But, I'll show you. The hair is there. The hair is there, and it's staying there. And it's all thanks to Dr. Linville. And great product that he has with the grafts. Right now, they usually charge $4 per graft. You can get a special $3.50 per graft. I mean, $3.50. And over 95% of them take, and mine have. He does an individualized plan for each and every patient. That one half of a drink is almost kicking in. But yeah, so he works with you one-on-one, and no anesthesia. It's just like going to the dentist, man. It's like Novocaine. And all you got to do, go to hairspecialisthouston.com/getfalconhair and book a consultation. And guess what? Your consult fee will be waived, $150 value for that. So Dr. Linville's great and a good friend, and he's going to be a big part of the Falconcast network moving forward. So go see him, go support him, and get you some hair. All right. I want to bring in a friend of mine here real quick. And if you've ever been to PJ's on a Friday night, I would say he is the crown prince of PJ's karaoke. And come on over here, James. Let me get you on for a second. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He welcomes everybody. And so welcome Karaoke James to the show. And you will. He's got fans everywhere, man. Let me get this where it's a little more centered. But
all right.
But yeah, James is we first met. It's been a while now. We've been friends. You just have so much fun.
Yeah.
And you're so nice to people, and you welcome everybody in.
Yeah,
and
I'm like the greeter.
Well, he's a little better than a Walmart greeter because all the hot young women like him. I'm just like, how is this guy beating me out? But he's got the personality, I guess. But how long have you been doing that? How long have you been doing
over 10 years. Since, probably 15. It's been a long time. And I have fun at it. It makes me feel good. That's why I do it.
And he's always smiling here. It's like, and I tell him sometimes when I'm having a really bad week, one of my favorite things to do is show up, and James is always smiling. We're always having fun. We might have a little alcohol together, and then but he just welcomes everybody in, and he's just such a cool guy, and it's so much fun to have him. And what I'm hoping we're going to do is that James is going to be partnering up with us on the Falconcast network, and we're gonna have him on every now and then, and we're gonna talk about, because we talk music and stuff too. We're expanding the network. I've kind of talked about this a little bit. English Rich is going to join me in a minute. We're going to talk about the podcast we're going to add, but that'll be movies and music, or movies and writing actually. But I want to do a music one, and I want to have Jesse and some of the other guys on, and just talk about karaoke, because what he's created here is, in my opinion, the best in the city. But it's like there's kind of a core group, and you're sort of the king of the core group.
It's fun. I love it. It makes me feel great.
But you also like to gamble a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Here and there.
Oh yeah.
So what's your go-to game?
Blackjack. Yeah.
I'm not gonna put any numbers on anything, but I've seen some of his winnings. He does okay at it.
Yeah, I do okay.
So
that's all I'll say.
Yeah, the IRS is already listening to me, so we don't want them involved. But no, I mean he does well with it, and he has fun, and he just enjoys life. And happy to have you on board, brother.
Thank you, brother.
And thanks for coming on. And we'll definitely have a segment for you when we get to the music one.
All right.
We'll have
Sounds great.
Well, because he does some really obscure songs. And I really want to dive into that one day. It's like, where did you find that? And it's really cool. So, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. Thank you, Fred.
All right.
Go Texans.
Yeah, that was fun yesterday. All right, we're gonna keep it going here with yet another member. Yes, come on. I'm still can't use right here. Sit where James was. Also,
oh, look, it's that English guy again.
yeah, it's that English guy, and you either look like a Bond villain, or you look like the head of the white supremacists in an English prison.
Yeah, I don't know which one I prefer. I don't think I like either. I keep telling people I'm going for that like Brad Pitt at the end of Fight Club look, and no one's buying it.
The thing is like, I think it's a good evil look, and now I want to write a villain for you. But Rich is also one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
But
But
it's tough because I've got the baby face, but then the shaved head makes me potentially look scary.
well, and the accent makes you scary, right? Because Americans are afraid of British. We won't admit it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we had to go to war to get rid of you people. But you know, you sound smarter than us. The
True.
guys and I learned this the first time I went to London. The guys in England are just way better looking than us. Certainly me. And like every time I'd go somewhere, there'd be one girl at the table, and she's like a hard four. She's like a me version, female version. And she could have any of those guys she wanted because there's just not many attractive women over there. I know you had to come to America to find one.
Well, a bunch of my friends back in England have been watching me on this podcast, and I can absolutely tell you that I am the best looking one of all of them. So yeah.
Okay. You're not a hard four then. Flea asking better Fincher movie, Fight Club or Seven? It's Fight Club for me.
Well, it's funny that they bought. So on that question, I'd say Fight Club. But I happened to watch the new Fincher last night.
I did too. I watched it.
The what's it called? The
The
Killer.
Killer. Yeah.
With Fassbender. What did you think?
I thought it was okay. I guess with Fincher, I expect so much, and it just I didn't dislike it.
I think that's the perfect way to put it. I didn't dislike it. I thought that opening scene that really, really drags when he's waiting for his target in Paris.
Yeah, that was too much.
It was too much. I enjoyed it at first, but it dragged on. Also, the soundtrack done by Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Yeah.
It didn't overwhelm me in the way that they did with the Facebook movie. What was it called?
Social Network.
Social Network. Yeah. So it was. Eh.
Yeah, it's kind of like my ex-wife. There's no hatred, but there's no love for it. How's that?
Oh, I can't say that about my ex-wife.
But yeah, I watched that, and that's what I watched this weekend. Oh, got caught up on Bosch, which I like that they're dropping 2 episodes every Friday. Bosch Legacy. Very, it's not as good as the original Bosch. Yeah, you've never watched that?
Is that the one with the guy who was in Lost at the end? He ended up being
Titus Welliver.
Titus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I also like because he's an unattractive man.
I completely disagree with you. I think he's very attractive.
Yeah, but you're running around looking like a bald Bond villain now.
Yeah.
So. But but I've got caught up on that, and you know what? I wound up watching. A friend of mine was over, and just having lunch and stuff, and she suggested that movie, and you'll know this guy because I had no clue who he was. The Rob Williams thing, the singer,
Robbie Williams.
Yeah, I never heard of
Take
him.
That.
Yeah.
He's in a movie?
No, it's a Netflix series, like a documentary.
Oh, really?
And like I said, I had never heard of the guy, never heard a song.
Oh, he's
Had no clue who he was, and I tell you what, I fucking loved it. It was really good.
He's a very interesting character. I actually, funnily enough, you bring this up. I met him once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my ex-wife, her family had this big pile in the country, and he happened to buy the house next door. And by next door, I mean like half a mile down the road. And I met him once in the local village pub, and he was the most lovely chap. Really,
he seemed like it, and like I said, I just, and you'll appreciate it because when he gets into talking about songwriting and a lot of the emotion that goes into it, it's something that'll really speak to you. And I was just like, wow, how do I not know who this guy is? And they're showing him in front of 100,000 fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really?
Well, actually, then, so Fred, you need to watch this, but all you listeners need to watch this. Google Robbie Williams, Graham Norton, hand job.
Oh boy.
So Graham Norton, if you don't know, is a talk show host in England, and Robbie Williams was on his show once and told this bizarre story about getting a hand job from a maid in a hotel, and it's just the most ridiculous, hilarious talk show clip ever.
All right, I got to look that up.
Yeah.
But no, I found it to be very interesting. So, and then I watched a Western today just because.
Why not?
Yeah, because there's like everybody's doing these period Westerns,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all like post Civil War. But this one was a modern day one, and it was very different about. And they're doing a lot of Texas Rangers, right? Which I don't know if it's because the Rangers won the World Series or just that the Texas Rangers are popular again.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's this old guy. And, he gets tangled up with this terrorist who's trying to do a bomb plot in London.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets recruited to, because he's one of the few people who've seen him. So he gets recruited to go to London and catch this guy. And so if you can imagine an old school Texas Ranger.
It sounds amazing. What's it called?
It's called One Ranger. And it's from an old quote that where one of the Rangers was going to do security for a big fight in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
and they were real worried because there's all these people coming in, and they knew there was going to be trouble. And I don't know if it was the mayor or whoever asked him, said, "Only one Ranger?" And he goes, "One Ranger for one job." And so this was kind of based off of that.
So, are you a fan of westerns?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
So, because the reason I ask is it made me think the sort of standing rumor is that Tarantino's final film is going to be a Western style. What do you think of that? Tarantino doing a Western?
Well, he already did Hateful Eight.
He did, but I wouldn't count that as a
And actually,
classic
I'll go this. Inglourious Bastards was really a spaghetti Western disguised as a war movie. It really was. I would argue that. But yeah.
I like that. I never thought about that before. That might be true.
Oh, and then I mentioned I watched the Sly Stallone documentary, which was I didn't find that interesting. I think it wasn't as much fun as the Arnie one, where he was making fun of himself a lot, including banging his maid.
Oh yeah, you said this in the bar the other day. He took himself too seriously.
Yeah, I felt like that. And the other one that was in there was Tarantino was there talking about his writing, and
in the Sly
Stallone one.
Really?
And so that's what I found interesting, almost as the guests, because
Mm-hmm.
they had Tarantino and and they had Arnie in there too.
What's the best Sly movie?
To me, see, I'm partial to. I mean, Rocky IV was my favorite of those, but I think Rocky was the best one. It's hard because although I love him in that Tulsa King show.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous, but if you don't take it too seriously, it's such an entertaining watch.
Demolition Man, way underrated.
Demolition Man,
Yeah.
absolutely. But Rambo 1, which is
First
called
Blood.
First Blood. That final scene when he's in the police station and he's really letting his emotions out. I just want to go. I think that's one of his most pure performances.
I would agree.
I do a great Sly impression. As well.
I won't argue with you over taking First Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And Flea mentioned Django was a bit of a Western as well. Yeah, that was Civil War. I mean, that was slavery era.
I wouldn't say
Django
I wouldn't
Unchained.
say Django was a Western.
What would you call it?
I would call it Tarantino's Wet Dream.
Yeah, that's not a genre. Come on, man. Because he sounds smarter than me, I don't know. And yeah, maybe he's better looking. Oh, if you're into that kind of thing. But I don't know about that take. Flea mentions Copland was pretty good. Well, that was the most interesting one in the documentary. Like he was not happy with all the things in that movie that they didn't let him do, and he never wanted to die at the end of a movie either. So that was kind of an interesting thing to come out of it because he believes in. He just wants people to have hope at the end of a film, and I think you can die and have hope. But yeah, I mean, I think there were some tidbits that were pretty interesting in there. So yeah, so I think you need to watch that before you come on again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and then is there anything coming out that you're looking forward to?
You know, there really isn't. And actually, and this is my weekly plug of saying hey to Veronica. Me and her were talking about this the other night, and there are so few films coming out nowadays at the theaters that I'm excited about. And what is going on? Right?
You know, I think so much of it is. I mean, Netflix is a better option from a creative standpoint. I think when you're doing a film, now they're doing 3 and 4 hour films, but you have to kind of stay in a contained space.
Yeah.
And I think if you're doing a Netflix series, you can do 4, you can do 8, you can do 10. It allows more creativity. And I do think this is something that I don't want to say 2020 killed the theater business, but it sure changed a lot of habits.
It didn't help, did it?
No. And
Don't you miss, 10, 15 years ago, seeing a trailer for a movie, on TV or waiting to watch, getting excited about it and waiting for the release date and going to the movies on the opening day, you get your popcorn, you sit down, you're excited. I feel like I haven't felt that way about a movie for so long, and it's pissing me off.
the last one I actually went to was the last one I was excited about.
Which one was that?
Avengers Endgame. And so I went to the media screening. But that's the last one I've seen in the theater.
So you and I are going to clash about this then.
Are we?
I can't stand all this Marvel stuff. I hate it. And actually, I read an article today, the latest one that come out, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, the Marvels, I think is
The Marvels,
yeah.
that's it. It had the lowest box office opening weekend of any Marvel movie.
I think there's some reasoning for that because I think they did so well for so long, and Endgame was the perfect ending. And now they've gone off into all this multiverse crap and timelines, and I think some of it's like I quit watching Loki. It was so damn confusing. I'm like, I mean, because I like Loki, he's one of my favorite characters, but it just was insane. But I will also say this though. I think, and maybe this is another topic to get into when we start ours, but I think Marvel is the last end of the whole Endgame saga. That's the only people that were doing good science fiction.
What do you see? You think Marvel? You class Marvel as science fiction?
Yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is all about it's all about a group that's out to save the galaxy. Endgame was science fiction. I think a lot of those, and they did them well. But I think nobody's making good science fiction anymore.
Okay, so you look at, let's say, Aliens, right? That's science fiction.
Yeah.
And then you're saying Avengers Endgame is also science fiction.
Oh, yeah.
But they're completely different kinds of science fiction. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of ways to do science fiction. Like iRobot is science fiction.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
But I just don't think they're making good science fiction movies. And I haven't thought that for a while.
That Napoleon movie is going to be good.
Yeah, Napoleon. Yeah.
I'll watch anything with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Plus, I just like good historic movies,
So they're making Gladiator 2, right?
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
I need to see it.
I have no idea what the premise is. I don't know if it's a prequel, a sequel.
Although, as much as I love Gladiator, there were 2 really bad editing errors in it that I can never get out of my head.
Tell me.
One is when they're in the first battle, killing the other gladiators. His sword is just full of blood, and then they cut to him again, and it's like a shiny silver thing. Like, where the hell did all that blood go?
Thank you, Ridley Scott, for that.
And then there's one where his friend throws him a sword and calls him Maximus, but that was before he revealed who he was.
Really?
Yeah. Some bad editing there.
All right, I'm gonna have to go home tonight and watch.
Yeah, you're gonna see those 2 things. Yeah. Felice says Killers of the Flower Moon was a 3.5-hour slog to sit through. I love Scorsese, but not one of his better films. You know, I don't remember if we talked about this last night or so. Now we have a lot of conversations in the bar about this, which is why I think it's going to be a fun podcast.
Mhm.
Except, you know, he's going to keep reminding, hey, we talked about this already. It's like, no, that was in the bar. But the thing about it was they rewrote the whole thing. Was it who's starring in it? Is it Leo?
It's Leo and Bobby D.
Apparently, Leo hated it, and so they redid the whole thing.
What, he hated the original script?
Yeah. And so, I mean, the story is really interesting,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm a little concerned, and I'll probably just wait for it.
Well, I've got a question for you then on that. Talking about, Scorsese and Leo. What do you think about directors that continually cast the same actors? So, like Scorsese and Leo, this must be their, sixth, seventh collaboration? I know that if I was a director, one day I will be.
Yeah, one day you will be.
I like to think that I would have actors that I prefer, but I don't think I would want to cast the same people every time. I like directors that keep it moving.
I think it depends on the actor, right? Like I think Tarantino does a lot of that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love that Samuel L's in everything. I love that Michael Madsen's in everything.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael Madsen's a pretty versatile guy who can play a lot of different roles.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were talking about it. We talking about the other day. Jeff Nichols, who's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah,
he always casts Michael Shannon in his films, and I like seeing that. But then he moves the supporting cast around every time.
Yeah, and I think Tarantino does that pretty well.
But Scorsese doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
It's always Pesci, De Niro, and Leo.
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said for being comfortable with people you work with too. You know, I think you can. You know what you're going to get from certain people.
Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite director ever?
Interestingly, it's between two guys we've already talked about today. It's between Fincher and Tarantino, and it's probably Tarantino. But
what about Clint Eastwood?
I'm not a fan. I mean, most of his stuff now is grumpy old man stuff, right? Well, I'm a grumpy old man. I don't need to see it.
Very true. Very true.
Oh, let's go shoot these bad guys in the yard.
Please thank
Kubrick.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's up there.
I actually showed Veronica Eyes Wide Shut for the first time.
Oh yeah, what you think?
She thought it was ridiculous, and didn't make much sense, but also brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think you could say that about most Kubrick films.
Clockwork Orange is my favorite of his. I love it.
Full Metal Jacket for me.
That's a damn good one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And Flea says 2001 single most influential film ever. That was up there, man. Depending on what your background is and where you're from,
Mm-hmm.
that movie did have an amazing impact on a lot of things.
It really
so.
did. I kind of want to bring Flea onto my podcast as a guest one day, to be honest.
Yeah, I know he's great, and he's all over this stuff, and that's one of the things we're going to do. We'll have some of you guys pop on and talk about it, and I could do a whole show on Tarantino, and things like that. So
actually, I got to see Tarantino live once.
Oh yeah.
When Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had come out, he did a novelization of the movie, and he did an evening with Tarantino at this little venue back in London, very near where I lived. I got tickets. I was actually in the front row, and it was the most boring 90 minutes of my life, because I thought he was going to maybe talk about the book and then talk about his movies and whatnot.
Right.
All he did for 90 minutes was talk about novelizations of films you never heard, and it was cool to see him.
Yeah.
It was so dull.
He's gotten a little weird in his old age. Early on, he was a great interview. Just like little stuff where he was talking about using an 8mm camera and things like that.
Well, that's what I wanted to hear about.
Yeah.
But he also, as he gets older, his face melts more as well.
Yeah, I think all that work he had done is just catching up. All right, guys. Well, this is some of what you'll get when we get to the new podcast, and we went a little over today, but there's a lot of stuff that we can get to. There'll be a lot of fun. We want you guys to participate, and we'll do the same thing. We'll go through some topics. We'll get your opinions on it. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so that'll be starting really soon. We just got a couple little things to work out. We're gonna have some great guests too. We're working on some really cool names. So
a buddy of mine, David Silver, who is the lead guitarist and singer of a thrash metal band called Savage Messiah, who you guys should check out. I actually used to be the singer of said band. He's going to come on and talk about the difference between writing a song and writing books and novels. So that's going to be an interesting look at two different writing styles.
Yeah, we're going to have Yvonne to talk about writing jokes. I'd like to get Barry Laminack to do that too.
Yeah.
And all of it. So we're going to have musicians. We're going to have traditional writers. We're going to have script writers. I mean, a little bit of everything. And
journalists, bloggers.
Yeah. You know, basically people smarter than me. So as usual. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up another show. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Love you guys so much. And salute to Veronica.
My mom's watching.
Oh, your mom's watching too. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hi. I'm his cool American friend. I only think he has one, but
he's not cool.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll do this again soon. But we're going to do a couple more pops before we actually launch the podcast. But yeah, and till Thursday when we will have AJ Hoffman back. Today's Monday already. Jesus, this happens when you get old.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like going on a skateboard down a damn slope and you just go faster and faster and you look up. Damn, it's Monday.
Well, it's been raining every day in Houston for like a week, so I feel like every day is just blurring into one.
Yeah, well, it's better than when it was 100 degrees every day for 45 days in a row. All right, that's going to wrap it up. So until Thursday, please stay sportsy, Gulf Coast badasses.